Hi guys, this is Shelley over at the Complete Combatant, and I write a monthly article for Shooting Illustrated. And after I write that article, they're so kind to let me go ahead and do a video reading that article. And the reason I do that is because I'm dyslexic. So somehow, even though I have a hard time spelling, I have a hard time with numbers, I have a hard time with other things that comes with dyslexia, I can actually write. Now, my editor probably doesn't like me because all the misspellings, but nonetheless, I write. And I do a good job at that. Considering that I'm dyslexic, that's a pretty big feat. But I also have a hard time learning if it's not hands-on or video or images, and I respect that. So I am going to read one of my articles to you, and maybe it will resonate with you, and maybe it will work better with your learning style. So here we go. This one is called Reactionary Zones Part 4. It's the closest distance. Welcome to the worst case scenario land. Population, you. I'm excited to write about the Complete Combatant's last reactionary zone called No Time to React, Act, or Respond, otherwise known as the No Choice Zone. In the past 3 months, Shooting Illustrated has published 3 articles of mine focusing on the idea of the Complete Combatant's 4 reactionary zones. Part 1 focused on the most amount of time to react, act, and respond to a threat. The most distance is around 25 feet and beyond. We often say that that distance equals time. So this zone gives us the most distance or time to make a really good decision. Part 2 focused on some amount of time to react, act, and respond to a threat. We consider 12 to 25 feet that some zone. I personally think this is the hardest zone to manage because at 25 feet, you can usually just move on with purpose to avoid a threat. But as the threat moves closer to you, closer to that 12 feet, your decision needs to be more to avoid, and it needs to be made rather quickly. Part 3 focused on the least amount of time to react, act, and respond to a threat. The Complete Combatant thinks of this zone as ranging from 6 to 12-ish feet. You have just enough time to make a really good first decision if you're ready for the fight. If you have trained and practiced self-preservation options, tool cycling, and pre-made or pre-need decisions in place, then you could be one step ahead of that bad dude. Now it's time to talk about the final reactionary zone. That is no time. Talking about the facts encompassing the no time to react, act, and respond can be very upsetting to some people. It is hard to comprehend that you don't have time to understand what is happening, make a decision, act on that decision, and fully respond to that decision before the bad guy acts. When the supper club turns into fight club. Scenario. You're at a fast food restaurant. You have received your food, and you are now looking for a small table to eat your lunch. You find the perfect spot, and right before you set down your tray, a man appears 6 feet from you. He says nothing, but he is obviously angry. He's sweating, he's red-faced, clenched jaw, tight fists, and is staring a hole through you. You are his target, and violence is imminent. What do you do? Before we go any further, let's give some credit to Edward T. Hall. Edward is a cultural anthropologist that specializes in proxemics that are maintained by healthy, adult, middle-class Americans. There are several aspects of proxemics. The one that Hall writes about is the distance maintained between people when they are communicating. Hall named his 4 distances: public, social, personal, and intimate. where we have named ours most amount of time to react, some, least, and no amount of time to react. In Reactionary Zones Part 4, we will be focusing on the Complete Combatant's no time to react distance. Per Hall, intimate distance is direct contact. This zone is very easy to explain. You can consider touching, hugging, comforting, football, wrestling, and protecting all in this zone. Notice, Hall did use the word protecting when he wrote about this zone. Because of Hall's framework, we now know people can feel the pressure of whether a person belongs in that specific zone or space or distance. In self-protection management, we can use this research to our advantage by measuring the violence options available to that bad person while measuring the options available to us to react, act, and then respond. No time to lose. Now let's switch gears from normal, healthy adults that Hall talks about to criminals. The no-choice reactionary zone, which is 6 feet and under from you to the bad guy, gives us no time to react. Not the most amount of time, not some, not the least amount of time, but truly no time to react. Based on distance zones, not that you don't fight. Let's go over some important things to consider in the no time zone. As always, you want to make one good first decision and then immediately follow up with more good decisions. First of all, I'm not telling you to not react. I'm explaining that in this zone, there is no time to decipher body language, judge different distances, think about how you want to react, formulate an actual plan, then respond to it when the bad dude is coming at you at 6 feet or less. We call this distance the no choice zone because if they choose violence, you have no choice but to respond. And it will most likely be with a hands-on, aka force on force, action because the time restraints and that short distance. Here's some bullet points. You have no choice but to manage him with words or actions. Contextually, he has no right to be there. You are in danger, and this could be a threat, or is a threat, excuse me. With all other thoughts filling your brain, we will not have time to actually measure the distance, which in turn will measure the time available for us to react, act, and respond. They're there. This is full action time. The fight is upon us, once again, contextually, and if they choose violence. Can you act first? If he is physical first, you may not get a turn to defend yourself. Do you have any past force-on-force training? Do you currently train in some sort of ground fighting like jiu-jitsu? Now is the time to apply those ground fighting skills. If you have no training, let's not worry about that now. You will learn on the job. Never stop fighting, never give up. Some people can't train. Some people, for whatever reasons, personal to them. Guess what? You're on the ground. You're going to learn a bicycle kick or an up kick real easy. Get it done. Never stop fighting. We have to look at ourselves and ask, how did he get that close? Maybe we did not visually manage the space in the most, some, or least amount of reactionary zone time. Maybe we were attacked via ambush or from behind. Your goal is to earn the space to run away or to get to a tool to use so you can stop him or her from doing what they're doing. Now let's go back to that scenario. You set down your tray, and all of a sudden a man appears 6 feet from you. He says nothing, but he is obviously angry. He is sweating and red-faced with a clenched jaw and tight fists, and he's staring a hole through you. You are his target, and violence is imminent. Thank goodness that you understand that he is under the length of a twin-size mattress from you. You know the average stride is 3 feet and that he can cover that distance to you in about half a second. He steps into you and swings at you, but while screaming, you manage to swing your food tray with all your might and smack him hard on the side of the head. Food goes flying. He was not expecting that, so he steps back to regroup. You just bought yourself a bit of time, so you step to the side and put that little table in between you. These two explosive decisions buys you a bit more time to make more good decisions. He can no longer reach you easily. Time is not on his side, so he takes off. You see, he was wrong. You were not an easy target. He was looking to score some cash with little effort from himself and from you. You made his decision to assault you a bad one. So he has left you to look for another person that may be easier to assault or rob. You can now take a deep breath. Please consider watching him run away. Which direction does he run? Does he get into a car? What is he wearing? Now call 911. Give them your location. Give them as many correct details as you can. And let's get this guy off the streets. I had an absolute blast writing part 1, 2, 3, and now 4 of Reactionary Zones. I'm very excited to announce that John Holshan and I will be writing an article together focusing on measuring distances, reaction times. This is with audio versus visual stimulations. I'm really excited about that. So have an absolute awesome day, and thank you for tuning in. Bye, y'all.